This is James's dinner for August the 13th, 2018, 2:26. I don't know exactly when he'll be back, but I figured it would be by now. Anyway, these are the vegan cheesy kale bites, and I made a honey mustard dip for it, which is just half and half, half honey, half mustard. And I used this mustard, and you know, I was surprised to see, I don't know if you can read the ingredients, probably not, they're very small, but on the off chance you actually can, they're not that great. I was surprised. So because it's Hickory Farms mustard, and I thought for sure it would be better quality, but it doesn't look to be. But it does taste good. So anyway, he'll probably prefer it with ketchup, but I thought maybe I'll try this because this is what I wanted to eat with it. So, and I gave him a balsamic and extra virgin olive oil dressing on his salad with some plain sunflower seeds and sauerkraut and tomatoes, and that's it. And he will have kale juice, apple juice, water chaser, green tea for to accompany his meal. Now I'm just going to set this down. For myself I'm having this and a few kale bites with the honey mustard, and I mixed this in with the cucumber juice because I found that it's really delicious that way. And I don't know that I'm really in the mood for cucumber juice so much, but it'll be fine. I'll drink that first, and then I'll have this. It doesn't really matter. Got some sticky on me. Honey. I should have brought the wooden spoon out because it got unstirred. Just packing it out here. It didn't take long. I can see orange in the middle of the bottom of this, which is going to taste terrible. That's pretty yum. It kind of tastes like orange pez. A bit. Or no. I didn't mean orange pez. I don't know if there are orange pez. I meant orange Tic Tacs. That's what it tastes like when you put it in here. So if you like orange Tic Tacs, you'll like to mix it with the cucumber juice. I actually like orange Tic Tacs. I like all of those things that taste frighteningly artificial and have really exciting colors that are not natural at all. But I don't eat that way anymore. I try very hard not to. So this is the least fun way that I made these bites. I just fried them up in the cast iron pan, just dry heat, right? And they would have been better baked, and they certainly would have been better deep fried, but I'm not going to partake in that. And they're still delicious. So easy to make, really. If you're watching TV and just making a bunch of these things. You don't even notice how much time you've spent, because you would have spent that time watching TV anyway. Well, if you were planning to go hiking, definitely do that instead. But I don't think it's a bad thing to watch TV. People seem to enjoy it a lot. And if you turn it into productive time, like making these, then there's nothing to feel guilty about sitting there spending the time making these. Honey mustard. I hope James gets back soon, because I'll have to guard his food. Because I realized something horrific today. I don't know if you find it horrific. I certainly do. So, I went in, I'd found an empty, one of those, we've been eating those rice cakes, the brown rice and quinoa cakes. They're good. Well, they're nothing, and they're healthy ingredients, so good. Anyway, I'd left the package out here, and I came out this morning. I don't know, maybe it was 7:30. So I came out at about 7:30, and then again a little later, maybe 8 o'clock. Anyway, because I grabbed a couple out of the package here, I went back in, then I grabbed a couple more out of the package and I went back in. So I know for sure they were there at that time. So I left one in the package because I felt guilty eating them all, because really I'd like James to eat them because they're good. And I'd like him to be able to eat the healthiest stuff that we have. Anyway, if I can convince him to. And lately he's been asking me for the kale juice. Seriously. I hurt my tongue earlier. So it kind of hurts to, move around my mouth. Anyway, okay, so this morning I came out and got a couple rice cakes, and I sliced tomatoes, these ones, in half, took out the seeds, and put them on one of those rice cakes, and it was good. I mean, it would have been better had I put like a piece of basil on with that or something, but it was still good. Anyway, so I did that a few times, and I guess 4 times. So I ate 4 of those this morning. Those rice cakes, and 2 tomatoes on each one. Yum. And pretty much almost no calories, but hit the spot. So anyway, I'd left one in the package, so I wouldn't eat them all. I saved the last one for James. And so then I told James some bird ate the last last one in there then, because I asked him if he'd eaten it, and he said no. And I said, well, then some bird ate it. And I laughed about it and whatever. And then remember in the last video, I noticed that the lid was off my Rubbermaid container out here. And somebody pulled the tarp off my bed. So they were like right up here in my living space. And they did not eat any of my Barbapapa tomatoes, or any of my tomatoes actually, but they ate my rice cake. I'm sure it wasn't a bird now. I'm sure it was whoever was on my deck and snooped through my stuff, which is totally disturbing. Not only that they ate my food on the way by, they knocked off a little squash because they didn't. It was like, I'm careful about moving around my plants, but they do kind of get overgrown and harder to move around. So they knocked off one of the squash that were growing on the deck here. And anyway. Excuse me. What was I going to say? Oh, why it was so disturbing that they ate my rice cake. Well, I thought it was a bird. And you know what? I shouldn't admit to this because you're going to think I'm very stupid, because there's things like avian flu and stuff like that. I like birds. They're nice people, for the most part. I mean, even James likes birds. Like, yesterday, was it yesterday we were at Bulk Barn? I think so. Anyway, we went to Bulk Barn. And yeah, it was totally yesterday. So anyway, we went to Bulk Barn, and there's this magpie, and it was following James out of Bulk Barn. And he got to the car, and he was like, that bird was so cheeky. And I said, well, he wanted your sunflower seeds, because James he gets huge bags of sunflower seeds because he really goes through the things. They're cheap. Who cares? So anyway, he eats a lot of sunflower seeds. So then when he realized that that's why the magpie was following him, he said, well, should I give him some? And I said, it doesn't matter. I mean, he's going to find plenty to eat around here, because like there's a French fry place beside or burgers or whatever, beside the Bulk Barn, and he'd get plenty. The magpie would get plenty. Anyway, but I mean, James decided, well, he'll give him some. So he got out some sunflower seeds, and he was trying to convince the magpie had flown off a little while once James had gotten in the car, and was telling me this about the cheeky magpie. There's a magpie eating my cherries right now. It's fine. I saved some on the top of the tree. I'm a little more scared this year of falling off a ladder and hurting myself worse. Anyway, because I tweaked my back pretty badly this, I don't know, around the 1st of June or something, I think it was. I was moving peat bales and peat moss around, and anyway, so I just don't want it to get any worse before a doctor has a chance to fix it. So I left maybe a little more on cherries on the top of my trees than I did last year, because I don't want to fall off a ladder and ruin my back completely. Anyway, so James was trying to feed some, which was adorable, because here he is, wandering through the parking lot trying to convince this magpie that he can have sunflower seeds now, that he understood that that's what he wanted. And he didn't know which, there were a whole bunch of magpies, he didn't know which one was the cheeky magpie. And anyway, so then finally he just decided he'd put the sunflower seeds down, and maybe the magpie would go for it. So I don't know. I don't know if it did. I don't know what happened with that. But anyway, back to what's so horrible about my rice cake. So, I was thinking that it was one of the magpies or other birds that are around here. Like sometimes I get blue jays, whatever. If you plant sunflowers, you get blue jays. So if you want to see blue jays in your yard, anyway, so, and you also get people stealing your sunflowers once they turn to seeds. It's terrible. Well, maybe you don't. Where I am, any people think everything's up for grabs in my yard. On my deck, too, apparently. Anyway, so, I guess fortunately for me, I have nothing worth stealing. Besides, I suppose, cherries and sunflowers. And my apples, they're almost ready. They're starting to fall out of the trees. So I made some apple juice for jam. And I'll be using the pulp. So, anyway, why the rice cake? You're wondering if the timer is going to run out on the camera before I get to the rice cake story. So here's a little crumb from the rice cake package that I didn't eat earlier, and I'm not going to eat it now because you know what I did? I found that the rice cake was gone, and I was, ha ha ha, bird took it, you know, so I'm thinking one of my magpies that, or the crows, or the whatever, and you know, I really shouldn't eat leftovers left behind by birds. You know, in hindsight. Anyway, but there's a few crumbs left in the package, so I think, oh, okay, I'll eat those crumbs. And then I realized, it was Guy who wandered back to snoop through my stuff, and on the way out, ate my rice cake. So now I probably have whatever disease he had or something, you know, because I imagine that people who are willing to go all the way to the far end of a person's property and deck to snoop through their stuff aren't exactly the cleanest people in the world. So I'm not very happy about that right now. Anyway, so now I have to guard any food that I want to put on the deck because I definitely don't want some dirty rice cake stealing person touching my James's food, because I want him to be healthy. So, not the dirty thief, James. I want James to be healthy. Dirty thief, I want that person to stay far away from me. I don't like people thieving from other people. It's terrible. And I definitely don't like people in my living space, because this deck is like, well, it's my living room / bedroom / dining room. You know, it's my living space in the summer. This is where I spend my time for the most part. So that's really creepy. Somebody. And, you know, really, I don't know if other women are like this, but for me, my home is like an extension of my body. So it's like, if people are in my home, it's like being in my body, you know? And, yeah. I mean, the deck usually, that's a bit of a buffer zone for me. So it isn't quite as intimate as right in my house. But anyway, I was not happy when I realized that I had eaten crumbs not left by one of the cute birds in the yard. And you're thinking magpie, croaky birds. Well, I kind of like them hanging around. Maybe they keep the kitten population down. I don't know. But, I mean, I have had some problems with magpies and such in the past, you know. Like, I have to guard Angel, because they'll try to stalk the little chihuahuas. Like, we had this little chihuahua once named Taco, and he was tiny, very small. And, yeah, the birds, they'd be stalking him. It's terrible to watch, because they're waiting, you know, they're just hopping along, and then when the dog turns around, then they just stop and pretend like they're doing nothing, right? But really, they want to peck out those Chihuahua eyes and then take them down. Terrible. But, and also we'd have hawks in the neighborhood, so I suppose the hawks would probably take down the kitten population more than the magpies and crows. I really don't know what magpies and crows eat besides garbage and cherries. They really like cherries. Oh, and I was going to mention my my, what do you call it, bikini top of the day is not really very exciting. I mean, it looks like a fancy bra, that's all. Only it does up like a bikini in the back into a bow. And it happens to be a pretty fancy color, I suppose, if you like this color. But besides that, it's nothing exciting.